Hello and welcome to your academic and employability skills lecture, which we're going to condense from 2 hours into 10 minutes. So let's go. So welcome to week 5, which is how to use a reflective model in your assignment. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry, that's what we're going to cover today. So in about 5 minutes, you're going to be very clear about what that means. So let's look at your assignment and what we need to do in that assignment. 5 things, and if you do all 5 of these things, you are going to get a good grade. So first, you're going to reflect on your learning in this module using recognised models of reflection. And as I said, you're going to know exactly what that means in a few minutes. Mention 4 or 5 topics from either of the 2 terms and reflect how useful they have been to you. I don't mind if you do fewer than that, you can do 3, so I think 3, 4, 5 is fine. Include what you already knew and any learning that you've done outside the classroom. We'll talk about this a bit more in another lecture, but yeah, what did you know already about the topics and what did you do outside the class to develop your learning? Analyse published literature relating to the specific topics. We will do this next week. And use the feedback you received on all in-class activities, and again we'll talk about that next week. So for this week we are going to do the first part of the assignment, which is reflect on your learning and use a model of reflection. So what does that mean? What is a model of reflection? Why do I have to use it? So let's take an example of, you can see here a baby, and the question I have for you is, what is learning? So when a baby is learning to speak, what does that mean? What does learning mean? Babies don't just hear a word, understand what it means, say that word perfectly, and then communicate in full sentences. That's not how learning works. Learning is a rich experience. It's the interaction of a lot of things. It's very dynamic. You're experimenting with different things. You're going to fail. You're going to get things right. You're going to get things wrong, and so it's the same thing with our learning to do with CVs, covering letters, the same as a baby learning to speak. So they might babble and make a funny sound, and then everyone gets really excited, and the baby has to think about what does this all mean. So it's not a linear process. So let's look at how people learn. We could use a cycle like this to explain the process of learning. And so if we think about this baby trying to learn to speak, if you look at the purple segment, the top left, the baby has a concrete experience. The baby makes this babbling sound, and it's just minding its own business, and it makes this sound, and then everyone gets really excited and smiles and laughs, and the baby thinks, wow, they think I'm pretty amazing when I do this. And so the baby's going to move into the green segment, top right, reflecting on this experience. Okay, I made this sound and everyone got really excited. What does this mean? And the what does this mean moves us into the orange segment, the bottom right segment, abstract conceptualization. That sounds really fancy, but all it means is, as you can see, gaining knowledge or skills from the experience. So the baby at this point is thinking, right, when I say this word, I get this thing. Maybe cookie. I say cookie, I get a biscuit. okay, cookie maybe means biscuit. And so the baby's now formulated an idea about what the meaning is, and is going to now move into the final segment, the yellow segment, active experimentation, going to try stuff out. Right, if I say cookie, do I get a cookie? If I say mama, does mama smile at me? So what does that mean? Is she mama, or does it mean smile? So the baby's going to just try out all these new things and get some things wrong, get really frustrated, and get some things right and get a cookie. And so this is the learning cycle, not just for learning how to speak, but how to learn anything. And what you need to do in your assignment is use this cycle to explain how you've learnt about CVs, covering letters, presentation skills, whatever it is that you've learnt on this module. You're going to use this cycle or something similar to explain your learning. What did you try out? What worked? What didn't work? You don't have to use this. This one is Kolb. As you can see, I'm going to link to these visuals below, so you can use this learning cycle or this reflective model. You can also use Gibbs reflective cycle. Again, you can see there are similarities between the different cycles. So do a bit of research, look at different reflective cycles, see which one works best for you, which helps you to explain your learning the best, and use that one. You don't have to use all of them, so please just pick one and use that one. So let's see how this would work in your assignment. So compare this. I learnt about CVs. Now, if you write an assignment that is basically about what you learnt, I learnt about CVs, I learnt about covering letters, I learnt about presentation skills, you're really not telling me much about your learning or how you learnt. And so this is going to receive quite a low grade, because there's really not much there. You're not telling me about your process. So what we want you to do is take that cycle and apply it to your learning. So let's see how you can do that. At first, I thought CVs were boring. I didn't like talking about myself. Then I discovered that your CV isn't about you, it's about your employer's vision, goals, and targets. So already this is much more interesting than I learnt about CVs. It's to do with what you felt beforehand. I thought they were boring. Why did you feel that way? I didn't like talking about myself. And then you were presented with this new piece of information. And now what did you do with that information? How did you try things out? What did you play with? I've now rewritten my CV, focusing on how I can contribute to the NHS, the place where I want to work, focusing on how my compassionate approach to care enables patients to feel safe and trust the treatment we offer them. Now this is really interesting. You're showing how you've used the learning in your own personal context, in your own career goals. You've told me that you want to work for the NHS. That's interesting, because now I know how you've used the learning in the classroom, in your real life. And so this is going to get a much higher grade, because you've shown a cycle of learning. You can do more, obviously. This is just a really short extract, but already I can see that this is quite a high level, probably going to be quite a high level assignment, because you're talking about the process of your learning and what you've tried out and what you think is going to work, what's not going to work. And so this is how I suggest you use this to structure your whole assignment. So you're going to write your introduction, and in your introduction, please do these two very important things. Which topics you're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about CVs, covering letters, presentation skills, whatever it is you want to talk about, but please tell me in the introduction. which model of reflection you're going to use. So are you going to use Kolb? Are you going to use Gibbs? Then in the next section, it should be very clear to me what's going to happen because you've already told me. Section 1, CVs. Using Kolb's model of reflection, or whichever model you want to use, what and how did you learn about CVs? Section 2, covering letters, and look at this. Using Kolb's model of reflection, what and how you learnt about covering letters. It goes on exactly the same. Presentation skills, or whichever skill you want to use, so you can see how this is so pretty. This is so beautifully structured now. Very easy to follow. I'm going to be able to give you a high grade because of how nicely structured this assignment is. And then a conclusion. Probably 100, 200 words, the introduction, the same. And then each section about 500 words, maybe, depending how many topics you want to cover. And you've got your 2,000 words. So you've got a lovely structure and the right number of words. And so to write a 60% assignment or more, use a reflective model to organise your ideas about each topic and explain your learning process. So well done. I hope that's helpful. Put any comments or questions in the comments below and I will try to answer those, and you can also answer each other, help each other out with this, and I will see you next week for referencing and critical thinking. All right, see you then. Bye.